Hey everybody, it's Jason Blah here. Now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And some of my subscribers have awared me that Kinobody, aka the Bruce Wayne of the fitness industry, aka Kinobody, has done a press, 200 pounds for 4 reps. So let me flip that in for you guys. Damn, son. That's actually pretty impressive. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Yeah, that was totally different from my normal dams. You know, guys, I'm a fair person. There are times when I give guys like Kinobody and everyone out there, I give them a lot of crap for stupid stuff they do, right? I do. Worthless marketing gimmicks, bad form on exercises, being weak on certain things. But when I see Greg do something like that, I can't talk shit on that. I can't do it. I can't, because that was actually pretty impressive. I'm gonna give props for that. And I think that's the one thing we can say. His pressing strength is actually up there. And I'm gonna go somewhere with this in a minute. But what's interesting, now I could nitpick. And be like, guys, you're supposed to come all the way down, pause on the chest on every rep. It wasn't pause reps. He didn't touch the chest on every rep. Still, it's 200 pounds for 4 with no belt. I mean, you guys know for me what, even with my pause stuff the other day, the most I've done recently on camera, the end, my last set was 185 for 4. Granted, they were from a dead stop on the chest on every rep, but truth be told, I'd be willing to bet, since he's doing 200 for 4 the way he's doing it, I'd venture to say he could probably match me even with the chest pause. And he's what, like 20 pounds lighter than me? So when I have a guy who's 20 pounds lighter than me on a lift that I really prize, like the press, I think it is one of the most important lifts. Guy's like 20 pounds less than me, maybe more. I don't know what he's weighing these days. So I'm assuming he's about 190. And he can match me on a lift like the press. I'm going to give props because I can respect that. I'm going to totally respect that. I can diss him on deadlifts. I can talk about the way he's going to hurt himself with the way he benches. But I don't know, man, that press was pretty legit. So here's where we're going with that. Look at the guy's strength on the press. And this is something I'm telling you younger guys chasing aesthetics. And this is one of the things that he gets right. The press, and that's called the press, guys. When you're doing a standing overhead press with no leg drive, with a barbell, and you're coming down pretty far, that's called the press, right? That is one of the most key exercises that those old school golden era bodybuilder types, those guys, that was one of the exercises they all knew built their aesthetic look. That is what they built their shoulder width and shoulder girdle and upper chest and all that stuff with, was that exercise. That is one of the single most important exercises you guys can possibly do if you're chasing that classic look and you don't want to use a bunch of drugs, right? It is one of the most important. I put it in the top, maybe the most important. And then when it comes to athleticism, functional strength, everything else, it is an all-around badass exercise. I mean, I can pick on guys who chase aesthetics for being feminine, because oftentimes it's a very feminine trait. But that is a very manly exercise, man. The strict standing press is a manly, badass exercise. It really is. And it's one that I think everyone should be doing. And you see guys like Greg, who is heavily promoting it. He's helping bring it back. And this is one of the exercises that if I could do something for the community, like I brought 5x5s back. A lot of people started doing 5x5s again because of me. A lot more people started going back to full body 3 days a week because of me. I brought a lot of those things back. And while I might not like everything that Greg promotes, I might not like all of it, and I might think he's lazy on lower body lifts, it's important to me to bring the press back. And so if I can use someone like Greg, who is trying to popularize this exercise again also, I think there's some middle ground there to be had, because again, I'm coming to you guys from a strength athlete perspective, from a science perspective, everything else. And I'm telling a lot of you out there that this silly fluff and puff stuff doesn't work. Fluff and pump only works for guys abusing tons of gear. It's a waste of time for most of you, but lifts like the press are pivotal for your size and strength. I mean, it is one of the best exercises you could be doing if you're doing it correctly. And you got guys like Greg who are marketing this whole minimalist aesthetics thing. He's telling you guys the same thing. Look at the look that he has and then look at what he can do on that exercise. At a certain point, this has to click for people. At a certain point, people have got to be looking at this going, okay, Blaha's over here discussing the value of this exercise. And then a guy who he doesn't even get along with, doesn't even necessarily like because of marketing reasons and a lot of the BS, is really strong on this exercise and promoting it and has the look that I'm telling you guys this exercise can be responsible for, that it is one of the exercises that give you that look that he has. There's an example, guys. I mean, there's your example. You really want to see someone who prioritizes that lift, gets really, really strong at it, and then gets to a low body fat, and then look at how his shoulder girdle and everything looks. That exercise is responsible for it. That exercise is responsible for it. So what more do people need? And that is something I will say positive about the guy, is that he is promoting one of the most important exercises. And I guess a lot of my beef with him is the marketing, and it has to do with the target audience. I really think these silly ass kids chasing aesthetics so they think it's going to get them laid, I think is ridiculous. I think it's a ridiculous demographic that I roll my eyes at. I really do. And I think that's where there's that difference of opinion, because that is his market. That's his market. And I look at those guys and say, wow, what a bunch of dumbasses. So that's kind of where there's that conflict. But if you look at his target audience and what they are actually trying to achieve, I would say one of the number one priorities, probably the two biggest priorities I would say to those kids who are trying to do that, and this works in really nicely with my whole minimalist strength training approach that I do promote for people for athletic reasons, for strength reasons, for competitive reasons. It does work together nicely. But probably the two most important things they could possibly do is focus on the press and their weighted pull-ups. I mean, if you want to talk about two exercises that are going to build that classic look all these guys are chasing, and he's pulled it off. I mean, the guy, at least his upper body, he does have that classic look. He does. But that's built from heavy compound movements, correctly selected heavy compound movements. But that look is largely due to his press and his pull-up strength. So he is right, and I would say to his target audience is someone who, Greg and I don't even have the same goals. We're not interested in necessarily the same audiences, but he is right on those. And so I'm telling you guys the same thing. Those two lifts that he is really strong at are responsible for probably 85%, maybe 90% of the look that he has once he's down to the body fat he's at. So I would say to you younger guys, put a lot of effort into those lifts. But I would also like to see you guys put a lot of effort into the squat, the deadlift, and the bench press also. Because those are my big five. That's the 5 exercises that I generally promote these days. If you just want a well-rounded base, if you want to be big and you want to be strong and you want to be jacked, the squat, the bench, the deadlift, the press, the weighted pull-up. That's your golden 5 right there. And there he is promoting one of those golden 5, and he still has that look, at least for the upper body. You know, he does have that look, at least to those areas that we're talking about. And it's because he's prioritized those lifts. So, again, what I would say to these kids who are doing that, I mean, there's where your money is. There's where your money is. Get brutally strong. And I don't mean just your 1 rep max. I'm talking about your rep work. Get brutally strong at those 2 exercises. And when you are leaner, you're going to look reasonably impressive. But I recommend that people get strong at all 5 of those lifts, because you don't want to just have, hey, this guy's got a great shoulder girdle and upper back. You want to be jacked. You want to be thick. You want to look big. And those are the lifts that are going to get you there, and they're going to keep you reasonably well proportioned if your strength is relatively proportionate on them. Again, once you're at a reasonable body fat. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.